Say, oh, well, you remember that time that you did that to me? Do you remember it? I do. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Today I want to talk about the feeling guilt. Guilty is a very powerful emotion. And the reason being is because it's usually a feeling that has to do with two people. The one that caused the action and one that felt the reaction or dealt with the reaction to the other person's action. It's not often that we feel guilty for our own actions. It's more of a feeling of regret or resentment towards ourselves. But the feeling of guilt almost always has to do with another person. Something that you did, and then once you find out what you did, that person was hurt in whatever way they were hurt, that's when you start to feel the guilt. And the guilt gets put on your shoulder, basically, and is waiting to be taken off by the other person. And that's powerful because you're waiting and depending on another person to take away a feeling for you. Because you know that you have done something horrible to somebody else, cruel, said something mean, or didn't do something when they expected you to do something. So you feel that feeling of guilt. And while you have that feeling going on, you're waiting for them to take it away from you, usually through forgiveness. You're waiting for them, you're holding it on your shoulder and waiting for them to take it off for you because they are the ones that have been affected. But this feeling of guilt is so powerful because that other person can take advantage. Whether they choose to or not is really their own battle, but once that feeling of guilt is put on you for what you have done to them, it automatically depends on how they want to react. Now, you can and you have the power to take that feeling of guilt off your own shoulder. You realize, whether they told you or you realized on your own, that you have caused hurt or pain towards this other person. Once you have that realization, you make up the decision how you want to prove or apologize to this person. Prove that you could do better, apologize for what you have done. Whatever action you decide to take, that's on you. So say, for example, that you're at a party, whether it's a significant other or a family member, and as a way of showing off, you put this person beneath you. Make fun of them, call them out on some of the things that they're vulnerable about. Whatever you do, you're trying to do it as a show-off thing. So that's what you do. Now, in the moment, of course, you may not have realized it, or you may be too high in your ego that it just feels good to get that sort of attention from other people at the time. So you totally dismiss the fact that you're hurting this person's feelings. Now, day 2 happens and this person confronts you, or you come to your own conclusion that you've hurt this person, and that feeling of guilt sinks in. So what you do is you take your time, or not take your time, but you take a moment to figure out how you are going to apologize. Whether it is simply apologizing from the heart, meeting up with this person, expressing what was going on at the moment and why this happened, and truly apologizing for causing them any harm, or maybe you want to do a grand gesture and take them out somewhere they've been dying to go to. However you decide to apologize, you apologize. But the feeling of guilt, again, is on your shoulder, waiting for the other person to take it off. So when you apologize to this person for what you have done, the guilt is right here. So what you're saying to this person is basically, can you take this off of my shoulder? Can you lift this weight from me? That person has an opportunity to forgive you or not. And depending on the relationship that you have with this person will determine how heavy that weight gets. You have the power to take off that weight yourself. But in the beginning, all you want is that person to do it for you, in a way. Because you know that you hurt them. And you know that this feeling of guilt is so that you go and apologize to them. That you make amends. That's why you're feeling this way. If at first you don't succeed, and then you try again, and then they still don't take that off of you, and you keep that on for yourself because you want to make amends, if it stays within you and they don't forgive you, then that's when it becomes your responsibility. It becomes your responsibility to take that weight off of yourself. You have exhausted all of your gestures, everything that you think you could have done to get that forgiveness. You've exhausted all your outlets, and you still haven't gotten it. It becomes your responsibility to do it yourself. Now, the reason guilt is so powerful is because depending on that relationship, and usually has to do with romantic relationships, that person may try to hold that weight down for as long as they can. They're going to bring it up 3 weeks from now when you screw up again. They're going to bring that one up 3 months from now when you screw up again. And they keep playing that same game. That's when the weight becomes overbearing. It's your responsibility to handle that weight then. And then, in general, it's your responsibility to handle the weight altogether. But when it comes to that feeling of guilt, the reason it has that power is because of the expectation that somebody else is going to take it from you. Because it was a two-party situation, it ends up being sometimes a two-party resolution. The weight is there, and if they don't take it away from you within the beginning, within the first apology or grand gesture, then you have that feeling with you for a bit. And it's because you're waiting for them. You're waiting for them to take it from you. Please, let's make amends. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. You go through it over and over and over again because it's overbearing. You feel you have to get that forgiveness. You have to get that forgiveness, or the weight is just going to take you down with it. You're going to drown in this weight. And if that person, depending how they are, they can take advantage of this. And it happens all the time. People bring up things that you've done in your past all the time. Say, oh, well, you remember that time that you did that to me? Do you remember it? I do. So you didn't forgive me. That's basically what you're saying, is that we're gonna replay that time because of what I did this time. No forgiveness. Got it. It's a replay, depending on who that is. We like to hold on to things. We are a species of attachments. We are a species of holding on to everything, of grasping, of ownership, of control. So I will hold on to what you did at that time, and I will bring it up at a very reasonable time so that you feel that weight of that guilt again. It was lifted for a bit. It was. I let it go. About a week later, I had let it go. But now I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to put it right back on your shoulder. Boom. That's the cycle that we go through. That's how guilt seeps its way through all the cracks within you. That's one of the strongest, most powerful emotions within our bodies, because it usually has to do with the other person. And we can't control the other person. And since we cannot control them, we feel this, how can I say this? We feel this endless desire to get their forgiveness. We want their forgiveness. We are striving for that forgiveness. It may never come. If you have exhausted all of your outlets when it comes to apologizing for what you have done, that's when that weight becomes your responsibility. And it may take some time, but you can take it off your own shoulders. You can take that feeling of guilt off of your own shoulders. Because it would just weigh you down. And it will continue to weigh you down. And you will drown in your own guilt. It's just guilt is another form of judgment on yourself, on what you have done. It may have been a mistake, but it happened. You have to accept that it did happen. Now you can make up for it if you choose to. But you cannot wait on that other person, because you can't control whether they're going to be forgiving or not. They may never forgive you. And are you going to just walk around the rest of your life with that weight of guilt on your shoulder? It's going to be a tough go. You may want to work on getting that handled. But at least you tried, right? Be aware of guilt. It is a two-person situation, but it's not always a two-person resolution. Thank you for watching. I hope this video has benefited you as much as it's benefited me. Know that I'm always giving you love, light, and happiness. Thank you.